Hey, doll.
Hey, Rosebud.
How's it going?
It is good. It's early.
It's very early.
It's incredibly early. And good morning to the Do We Have To crew. If you're listening to this in the morning time and maybe you're on your way to work or you're on your way to doing something, good morning. We hope you're having a wonderful day and an absolutely wonderful week. And we are back at it with Do We Have To, a marriage podcast. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Emily.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. This is Not Actual Family Studios production. Executive producer is Colin Maskell. And we've got one hell of a show for you guys today. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's a special episode today. It's that once a month, Do We Have To book club.
Yeah.
What's on the docket for the book club today? What book are we discussing? Just quick little highlight.
We're going to talk about The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
Absolutely. And so we will be talking about this book. We'll be saving that for the end, and then we'll be wrapping up this show. But we got a couple other segments that we're going to go over today. We're going to be back at it with Let's Get Deep. We're going to be finishing up the first round of first round ever of Let's Get Deep. We're going to do a deeper card. So we're going to be getting beyond the ice breaking bullshit. We're going to even be getting on the little just initial wall breaking down. We're going to get really deep and we're going to get very intimate with the Do We Have To crew. And we're going to do that today.
Okay.
Yeah, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. And then also I'm going to just fit in just a really quick clear the air. I didn't really talk to Emily about this. However, there's been a couple.
Do we have to clear things up?
Do we have to clear the air or clear things up? I don't know why you just changed the name, but that's fair. We can change it. Do we have to clear things up? That's fair. I like it. You just go. You do you. You just go rogue.
I don't know.
We're gonna figure out, guys, what we should name things on the show. So you tell us. Do we have to, crew? Do we have to clear things up?
I don't know.
We will. You don't have to keep saying I don't know. Okay. You're good. Do we have to clear things up? That'll work. We're going to, I'm going to knock out a couple things really quick that have come up that I think are really important, or have also just extremely annoyed me. So just bear with me. We'll get through it. It'll only take a few minutes, but I feel like it's important to say. And with that being said, I'm going to jump into, do we have to clear things up really quick? Is that okay if we just jump into that segment? Let's just knock it out.
Yeah,
Let's pull off the Band-Aid.
Just grab my coffee and you go for it.
What kind of coffee are you drinking today? It's a book club episode, so I feel like we should at least talk about coffee for a second.
This is Roastery Kansas City blend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. So local coffee. That is fantastic. I am drinking Corporate Muck. My favorite Corporate Muck, though, which is Dunkin' Donuts original blend, which I've fancied up with a little bit of whipped cream and some caramel on top, but no sugar in it. It's just all the sugar sitting at the top that for some reason makes me feel better, like I'm drinking less sugar, but it's the same amount of sugar. It doesn't matter.
I bet that has more sugar in it than my
Easily
Truvia packet and
Truvia is not real sugar.
Splash of creamer.
Yeah, I mean that just passes through your body. It's that monk fruit and stuff, right?
Stevia.
Yeah. I mean it doesn't.
I don't have any of
the
monk fruit left.
Yeah, but anyway,
Costco didn't have it.
Dunkin' Donuts. Thank you so much to my wonderful garage beer, the official beer, my official beer of life.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's way too early to drink, so I'm gonna try. We'll try at some point to have one, in the evening again, so I can show your beautiful design can on screen.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No.
So, first things first, I have noticed on social media as of late, which is very concerning to me just because it's insane. And I say this as a 40-year-old. So I grew up, I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. I'm also a history major. And when I went to school, I love history. It is insanely concerning to me that there's so many I'm not going to say the name because, again, we discussed this and YouTube would flag us. I don't know why, because if you're speaking out against it, I don't know why you wouldn't be supported on that. But it seems like social media is almost more supportive of people who support this person. But if you're a fan of the most infamous person of World War II that was a former leader of Germany during that time.
You left that real vague, babe.
Did I say the name?
No.
They got to know who I'm talking about. And you guys know who I'm talking about. But if for some reason you feel inclined to mold your life or even just show general support in any type of way on a social media format of this human being. Let me just break down to you just a quick couple seconds, okay? I'll take it really quick. The person you're supporting not only tried to completely, rid the world of an entire population of people, an entire religion of people, but not only that, but towards the end of the war, you feel free to fact check me. This person burrowed themselves down in a bunker, refused to come out, while basically all the members of their country, men, women, and children, as they were running out of resources for the war and the Allies were coming in, were fighting and setting off bombs and fighting tanks as they come in and going towards territory. And after all of that, you would think this person who caused all of this mayhem and destruction and led this country into utter dismay while trying to wipe out an entire race of people would then face the music. And when facing the music, what is that noise? What is that noise? Why does it sound like it's raining? That's weird. Do you hear that? Is somebody in the shower?
I don't know.
That's weird. Oh, sorry. Do we have to, crew? It said, well, I guess it's just another disruption of the day. Somebody's taking a shower or something. Jesus Christ. I just can't, talking about World War II here, and then all of a sudden the shower comes on.
Like, I don't even know which kid that would be.
What kid that would be either. Excuse us, do we have to crew? I'm not cutting this. We're not editing this. This is life, guys. This is life of being parents and being married. God. It doesn't matter what fucking time you get up. It doesn't matter how much effort or energy you put into proactively preparing for something. It doesn't fucking matter, because no matter what, life's going to bring interruption. Life's going to bring stress, and it's really about how we handle it and not. So anyway, with that being said, hey kids, if you could not take showers at 6 o'clock in the morning when you're off for spring break while we're trying to record a show, I don't know. You've never taken a shower at 6 o'clock in the morning before. You decide today when we're going to record the show to do it. That's just, it seems mathematically, shout out Uncle Jeff, impossible to me that this would occur, but I love you guys and appreciate you. Please don't make a ton of noise. So back to what I was saying. After all of this, all these things that happen, this person burrows themselves in a bunker, and as the Allies are coming, you think, oh, this person that you revere is so great. You would think they would face the music and accept accountability, or at least give their side of things of why they did what they did was necessary. But nope, they give themselves the cleanest, sweetest, softest death that you possibly can, and completely exonerate themselves away from ever having to deal with any of the consequences or implications of any of their actions. And that's who you want to support as some sort of person that you want to live your life by, or have some sort of political influence in the country you live in. Get the fuck out of this country if that's your mindset. Get the fuck off social media. Don't interact with people. If you want to have those thoughts, fine. I respect you having thoughts. But I ask you stay off social media, you not put that out there, and please stop wasting our air. Oxygen's a limited resource, okay? So that's the first one. Second one.
There's more. Okay.
Yeah, the second one's much more helpful.
Got it.
That just
Good
appeased.
to know.
All that did was appease me.
Soapbox over?
Yeah, soapbox. I don't even know if that's soapbox. That's just being a human being. But soapbox over. Second one is we did receive a question, and it's a book club episode, but I felt insanely inclined to mention this because I didn't want to go over the question just because of what it entailed. But when I saw it, I felt like it was really a necessary thing to discuss. And we received a question in regards to a person having a partner that they were being physically abusive. And so, to clear things up on that, that's never okay.
No.
I don't think we need to dive into the question. It was very clear about what was going on. They were asking for advice. The advice is you need to get out of that. You need to get help. There was really, I don't think, and here's the thing. I'm saying, you think I'm saying this from a person who is just saying, oh, that's bad. I've lived through abuse. I lived through it for an entire year as a 12, 13-year-old boy. And not my direct parents, but an uncle. And I can tell you, it causes irreparable damage. And so if you have the ability to get out of that, if you have the ability to help somebody in that situation, and this is something I can talk about certainly down the road, but I'm not going to today. You need to get out of that. And there's resources. And that's why I wanted to, let's clear things up here as far as like, you do have the ability to get help. So it seemed like very much in the conversation that was left to us that this person didn't know what to do. There's a lot you can do. And not only is it going to somebody that you care about or you trust to help you get out of the situation, even if your living situation, you're stuck in it, you can get out of it. There's tons of resources where they can support you. Specifically, there's a national domestic violence hotline. Obviously, there's your local law enforcement, number one, but there's national domestic violence hotline. You can call them at 800-799-7233. One more time, 800-799-7233. You can even text. If you don't want to talk to somebody, text. You can text BEGIN, the word BEGIN, BEGIN, at 88788. Or you can even go to their website. That's thehotline.org. And there's a chat feature on there. There's no excuse to continue to allow yourself to not be supported in this situation, to not take action. There's any method of communication, you can do it. But if you find yourself in danger, those sorts of things, you need to get out of that situation and you need to get help immediately. And that's why we have local law enforcement. That's why we pay taxes, and those guys are happy to protect us. So it's a very serious thing. So please, just to the Do We Have To crew, that anybody that's experienced this, I'm sure can tell you, but please seek help. And if there's anything else we can do, if anybody else finds themselves in a situation, they need those resources, please reach out to us. We can get them for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all done. Things are cleared.
Okay. Alrighty.
You like that? Little World War II clear up. That's been a long time coming. And then almost 100 years now.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's do it, girl. So we're going to be moving into Let's Get Deep. Okay. And if anybody's a first-time listener, of course, we have our wonderful Do We Have To crew that keeps coming back time and time again. But if you haven't listened to our show before, one of the big things is from our audience, we kept getting comments and questions and just a couple of the Do We Have To website questions about getting to know Emily and I more. That, hey, you're talking about a lot of things. You're giving us great information. Thank you. We don't really know a lot about you.
Right.
And so we thought, we love the show Love is Blind. Shout out Nick Lachey, Vanessa Lachey. It's a show on Netflix where they actually go through the process of being in these pods and they blind date, essentially, where they date without seeing the person. Right. They're blind, and they get to know them on a deeper level. Well, one of the games that they offer for the castmates to play in this is this Let's Get Deep. And it allows you to kind of like do general icebreaker questions. It also is like more relationship based questions. So Emily and I are going to go every week. We're going to continue to go through a full, like every few weeks, we'll go through a full round, meaning we'll do an icebreaker question, a deep, and a deeper. And we are about ready to finish up our first round. So if you go back and listen to the last couple episodes, you have catch an icebreaker and a deep, and now today we're going to go do deeper. And Emily is shuffling those cards as we are. And let me tell you, every day or every time we get ready to record, Emily asks, like, should we just pick one? And I say no. We got to do a random. Even if it's not a great question, we're going to roll through it.
I hate it. I hate surprises.
But it's the point. The point is it's not going to be organic. We're not going to give a good answer if we don't know, if we know what it is. Otherwise, we're going to massage the answer, and then we're no better than infomercial people. We don't want to be infomercial people. Remember those back in the 90s, in the middle of the night? Infomercial. Yeah, people. Go ahead.
Okay.
You can only shuffle so many times. Just
I know. Okay.
And our first deeper card is...
I can't read from that view. What amount of money would you need to have in order to consider yourself rich?
Rich? That's a deeper card, huh? It seems like more of an icebreaker or deep, but that's fine. Go ahead. You want to go first?
More than we have now.
I think that's the thing, right? Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know if there's really a dollar amount on it that I could say, like, I'd be comfortable. Like, there's a difference between being rich and being comfortable, and I would much rather be comfortable than rich. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I would like to have, like, no stress about it. But
Is
I don't
there
know
a dollar amount associated with that? That's what the card's asking.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think for being comfortable, I think you're right. I think it's asking two questions. Like, what do you consider rich? I consider rich like generational wealth, right? And so I don't even think it's possible. I don't think you ever have enough money, which is kind of why you're seeing these 1% fucks. It's never going to be enough, right?
Right.
Because that, like, the idea of rich is really, I think you associate power with that. And when you associate power with that, like, you never stop trying to amass power. So to your point, I think there's two different questions, right? What's comfortable if we had like $100,000 in the bank and our bills were paid off and we had two sources of income? Because one of them right now ain't the show.
Sure is not.
That's just overhead cost right now. We love doing the show. Do we have to, crew?
We do,
Absolutely,
but we do not make any money.
Anything off this. This is just all for the pure enjoyment of the game.
We get zero,
That's right.
zero
Just costs money
financial.
to do it. That's right. So
gain.
yeah, I think that's what it'd be. So like to your point, yeah, and that's what the beauty is of this game is like it generates conversations. It's
I would
not just
almost
about
say more
answering
than
the question.
100,000. Like
I'm talking about just like 100,000 you wouldn't have to touch, right? So meaning like you have your
savings,
yeah. Like we have 100,000 save. Let's say a money market account. Don't just put money in savings, folks. You get no interest on it. Money market accounts, it's like 4 or 5%. That would be perfect.
Person.
It's not. It's just math. Shout out Uncle Jeff. It is. Yeah, having that just where you don't even have to touch it, and then having your bills paid, and so you're really just taking care of your monthly. So like your monthly subscription or utilities. And you have sources of income that can take care of that easily, and you're continuing adding money in the bank. That's to me what I would consider rich as far as comfort. And then like, I don't think there's such thing as like what rich is. I think that's a whole different other mindset that unfortunately is very corrupting.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be that.
I mean,
I'm not saying we wouldn't do it if we could. I'm just saying I don't want to be it. Mailbox. Yeah. See, you're talking about Shep from Southern Charge. Shout out Shep.
Yeah.
Where he has a trust fund. Like you're able to create generational wealth where they've amassed so much money that their money makes money. Right. Yeah. I think that can be corrupting in a way. And it does introduce a different set of problems. Hence why it's such a beautiful and amazing reality TV show.
It does.
We love you, Shep.
I love Southern Charm.
Me too.
But yeah, I don't know that there's an actual dollar amount that I would ever say I'm rich, but I would love to live in a world where I feel comfortable.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's what most people want. They just want to be left alone as long as they're not harming anybody and just to be able to comfortably. And I think we live in a country where that should be the average person's story. And the fact that we don't get that, I'm not going to get on political soapbox, but regardless of who you're voting for, they're not doing us justice. So
no.
Anyway,
sure am not.
Yeah, but no, that was a good question.
Yeah,
that does open up conversations. I was surprised that wasn't
deeper, but yeah.
But see, it did because I think that's the point of it. And as I'm talking, I'm like, well, there's not a very good question. But then I'm like, let's talk about power. Let's talk about how that corrupts you. Like, what are your minds? Like, it does allow you to get a different view of your partner that they're probably going to posture and not show you. Where these questions, if you start going on autopilot and just start answering it, you're going to be able to see that. So being able to tell red flags. And it's not like you want to pick out negative things about the partner, but like at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, you want to be able to make a pragmatic decision ultimately.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in the Let Them theory quite a bit. But yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I you know what I just realized? I went on that whole thing about the abuse hotline and everything, but I didn't even say I could have related it back to the book. Also, if you guys are struggling at all with relationship stuff, I highly recommend, if you don't even read the book, it's absolutely fine. I would recommend reading the book just in general, but chapter 18 on the Let Them theory. It's not just specific to like being in an abusive relationship. It's just relationships in general of like letting people show you who they are, and then you're able to make a decision, allow you to be you, right? Definitely chapter 18. Sorry.
Yeah.
I should have just said that when we were talking about the book. I don't know why, but I wanted to make sure and round that back to what we were talking about. Do we have to clear things up?
It's all good.
Formerly known as, do we have to clear the air?
Is that what we named it the
I don't
last time?
fucking know.
I
I mean,
don't
Jesus
either.
Christ, we're just barely getting by. People are taking showers at 6 o'clock in the morning. Dogs are making noises. It's fucking early. We barely had coffee. I've got to work after this.
Yeah.
We're just rolling along. We're just getting through the day. And if you're just getting through the day, we're right here with you guys. We love you.
I've got people to take places.
Dad's got appointments. We've got family coming in town. Shout out Cousin Tyler and Cousin Ashley. We love you guys. We're so excited to see you and so excited for the Kansas City Royals opening day in a couple days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going off the rails.
Yeah, you are.
Not even
This
keeping
is-
organized. Colin's probably listening to this right now and just chewing aspirin and just fucking got an aggressive look with his tight medium shirt
Doing
on.
what?
Chewing aspirin.
Aspirin.
Yeah, because he's got a headache from having to listen to me go off script so much. He's got the just aggressive, like just nonchalant look on his. You know how he gets with his perfect hair, his classically shaped jaw.
Okay, so we're gonna move on.
We're gonna move right into the show,
Do we have to book club?
the Do We Have to Book Club. But first, you cannot have a Do We Have to Book Club, and I'm wearing the appropriate attire for it today. I am wearing
Yes, I am
the
not.
2023 Disney Christmas jersey. So every year Disney does
22?
put out a 2022 Disney Christmas jersey. Every year Disney during the holidays puts out a jersey. They have one for Halloween, which I do have one from when we took our trip to Disney. And then Emily was kind enough to get this for me for Christmas. But we can't have a Do We Have to Book Club without Emma Enchanted Travel. She is a travel expert, specifically focused on Universal Studios and, of course, the wonderful world of Disney. She has her own website, emmaenchantedtravel.com. Definitely go out there. I think the best feature to do right now at this point in time, especially if you're getting ready to book a vacation, is go out to her contact page, submit your information. She'll reach out to you, free consultation. And guess what? You don't even have to pay her. That's right. You do not pay her when you book a trip. The parks take care of her. So really, she's just going to get you the best deals, and she's going to give you the most informed, insanely amazing dissertation on what you should do with the parks. And she's going to help you book everything and run through everything. So Emma, thank you so much for being a sponsor of the show. Thank you. And we will do you proud on this next segment of Do We Have to Book Club.
Yeah, you can also find her on Facebook and Instagram at Emma Enchanted Travel. That's her.
Fucking awesome alley-oop. We sound like a fucking radio show the way you just did that. You didn't even, I missed doing that, and you just filled right in and it sounded smooth as fuck. Never mind. Sorry. Earlier
Maybe
I
we should
mentioned
do
this was
this
a
on
shit
No
show.
Sleep.
Yeah. Earlier I mentioned guys like, hey, I'm with you. Emily just fucking sounding like she's doing New York City radio right now, like as she's been a journalism major all of her life. This is amazing. Good
You
job.
know, a side note, I wanted to be a journalism
I think
major.
it makes sense.
And I wanted to go into writing and be a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my freshman year English teacher in college. I wrote this huge thesis paper for the class. Because I did all the college classes you could take in high school.
Yeah.
So I did all those basic English classes.
Yeah.
And this was creative writing, pre whatever.
Yeah.
And he told me that I would never make it in journalism
Really?
or in
I don't think I've
writing
heard this story.
whatsoever. I've never really told anybody because I wrote the way I talked, and the way I talked was not going to ever be relatable to other people, and that I should find something else to do because I would never have a future in writing or journalism or broadcasting of any kind.
A freshman English teacher told you that.
He was my advisor.
Okay.
And
At Northwest Missouri State University, I want to make sure and say this out loud.
Yeah.
So be mindful, motherfuckers, of who you put in roles, right? The whole point of, in my opinion, especially now, college and university, is not like you can get, this most amazing job. I think we're all finding out that this was a business push, a loop to get people to go and spend money. However, if you are going to do it and if you are going to teach and mold young minds, you want to support them and help them grow, not fucking crush their dreams.
Oh, I was totally crushed. I was totally crushed
That's
because
so shitty. And you know what?
I also
Here's the thing.
worked so Northwest had their broadcasting department, and you could be on the radio for the university and stuff. And he's like, you'll never be on air. You will never be. You'll
But
always,
here's the thing. You know what he described what you were doing is literally how most people have become influencers and bloggers.
right.
And
But at the
everything
time
now.
I was in college.
No,
that
I know,
wasn't it.
but I'm
And,
saying
like,
he couldn't be more wrong about what he was saying, and he infected your decision for the rest of your life.
And my thesis paper, I will never forget this, was on.
You didn't come back to it till you're almost 40 of doing media. That's
Yeah.
insane. What's this guy's name?
I don't remember.
You don't remember his name? Oh, I
can
wish I
tell
could
you
know your
exactly what
fucking
he
name
looked
because
like.
I would blast it all over the air.
I can tell you exactly what he looked like. And I'm sure
That's
if
why
I really
it's-
thought about it, I could think of his name.
That's why teachers do deserve more money, because the ones that actually do a good job, it's so insanely important because you do make or break people. And that's why I'm so proud to be associated with all of our family that are teachers, because they're good human beings that really care. But there's these fuckers like this guy that just like, it's a power thing, or it's just like that I'm so smart, the arrogant prick. I'm not really here to help. I'm here for myself. And that's what sucks. And if we keep underpaying these guys, that's the type of people we're going to get. Same thing with like, you know, when you underpay resources for law enforcement or fire, like you get what you pay for. Shout out to Papa.
Yeah. My paper was on the art of being happy and like all the science that it takes to be happy.
Sure.
And like now, like, do you remember in COVID?
Hey, can you hold on one sec? It's a great guys. Hey guys, you guys, please be quiet while we're doing this. Please don't fight. Don't argue. Please keep it down. Okay. I understand you're up earlier than you ever have been all week. And for some reason you could sleep in as late as you want today. And you guys decided, I know things are different. Please keep it down. Okay. So mom and I can finish this, please. Sorry about the sidebar, guys. Sorry for the interruption. Go right ahead.
But like
Dad of the year here.
during COVID, I took that class through Yale or Harvard. I took it through Harvard Business, through Coursera. They had that free class about like the science of well-being and happiness. Mm-hmm. Like that's a legit thing now. And back then it was not at all. And he thought that was the stupidest topic ever.
Yeah. So again, it couldn't be
And I
more
was just
wrong.
like, everything
I don't want to
that
get off on a
guy ever
tangent.
said to me
was
just
wrong.
devastated
And
me.
so that goes to show you, don't let anybody tell you if like there's something you really want to do and you're passionate about it, do it. Figure out how to do it. Don't listen to anybody else. And that's a great segue to let them, because if you would have let him and if you would have let me,
Well, I mean, I totally
you'd
did.
be on the nightly news right now or whatever you wanted to be doing. But now you're here with me stuck on a podcast while our children are being loud and
wanted
taking
to write for a
showers at 6 o'clock in the
magazine.
morning. And I think you would have been great at that. So and don't give up on that dream. Do it. There's nothing stopping you. There's pens and paper everywhere. But let's get into the book, okay? So the Let Them theory.
Yeah.
Should we give a little quick background on the author, Mel Robbins?
Yeah, if you want to. I really haven't done a whole lot with like her background. I just know she's written several like self-help books. She's had several different.
Well, I've got stats on her.
Oh, okay, you go for it.
I didn't need you to memorize Mel. Sorry. She's a New York Times bestselling author. Specifically, a couple books to highlight or mention, besides obviously the Let Them theory, is the 5-second rule, the high five habit. She's a leader in the leadership industry, self-help industry. She's worked with companies providing leadership expertise such as Starbucks, JP Morgan Chase. And then also, the proof's in the pudding. She has 3.7 million followers on her YouTube channel. She has a episodic podcast as well called The Mel Robbins Show, The Mel Robbins Podcast. She's a very pragmatic individual, so she does have a certain communication style. And I think that's definitely portrayed in this book. But I think what she brings to the table is extremely helpful. Mm-hmm. And then, so the Let Them theory, do you want to give a quick breakdown as far as what that kind of like just the general purposes of the book?
Yeah. So the Let Them theory is basically a tool to help change your mindset or change your behaviors to stop trying to control other behaviors, like other people's behaviors and lifestyle, and allow them to make their own choices and face the consequences that come with those, whether they be positive or negative, and only try to focus on the things that you can control and make your own choices. And really the key phrase of Let Them is the let me. I don't think you have a Let Them theory without the let me part of the theory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is to let me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let them make this choice.
Yeah.
Okay. now let me
And maybe that's
do
where we
this or that.
So maybe that's where we start, right? Like as far as like, because what I'd like to do and what we want to do with these book club reviews is we want to talk about the highlights. So that way, if like you're interested in reading the book or if reading's not your thing, you can go and peruse or hit the highlights, right?
Yeah.
So we definitely want to tell you what we felt that resonated most with us. And I think a lot of this resonates not only with us, but like all the things we've tackled on the show, right?
And we did give each other, like we did score it with our alarm clock thing.
But we'll do that at the end.
Yeah, sorry.
And you're good. No, sorry. I just want to make sure we're doing this. We'll give the score at the end. We'll give our opinion of the book at the end as far as the score. But I guess let's start with the highlights, which I think, obviously one of the biggest highlights is the let them practice as well as the let me practice and what that means. Did you write down a definition of that? I've got notes on it. So, but essentially like a lot of this is how you deal with the external environment, right?
Right.
And so let them is, and I think this is one of the best tools is we have this understanding or this need to have control over everything.
And I am a huge control freak.
Right. The reality is, and I think this is where her pragmatism plays really well is that it's not possible to control that. And so you just have to let them do that. And you cannot, the let me part of it is you can't base actions off of trying to control how somebody is going to respond to you. So not only do you let them be disappointed in you, let them judge you, let them tell you it's not going to work out, let them tell you you can't do it, let them not like you, let them not care about you, let them.
Yeah.
And don't stop it from letting you. Meaning if you're going to write a book, who the fuck cares what your parents or anybody else thinks about that? If that's what you want to do, let them feel that way. Let you do it.
Right.
Right? So those are two things. That's a crux of the book. And then she kind of fills in all these other supporting things and tools that you can use along the way. But that's really what it is it's let the external be the external. You can't control that. But don't let it control you either.
Right.
Let me do what you're going to do what's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you agree? I don't know.
Absolutely.
So as far as like the other portions of the book, like what were the highlights for you, just out of curiosity?
I think the biggest part for me was using the let them let me as a part of my calm down or my pause before like making a response to something or acting on something. I think it was a really good tool to help me choose which battles to play into. And it also it is just like a mental note to say, okay, they've already done this. They are already doing this. So let them follow on that path. But now let me figure out, can I control it? Can I change it? Can I fix it? Do I need to change it? Do I need to fix it? Do I need to be involved? And kind of stuff like that. And so, but I do think, it's okay to let it go. It's okay to allow things that...
Like our kids, let them.
No, yeah. Right now, just let them.
Let them.
And so, but I don't think this was a groundbreaking thing for me. I think I've heard a lot of this information before. It's just putting it in a different perspective. And it's putting it in a simple phrase, the let them, let me, so that it's just like a quick little reminder.
Yeah. I think we're underselling that a little bit though, because I think to your point, these are all things that we know like to a certain level or we've heard, but it's packaged and organized very well in a way. It's like a playbook. Like if you want to deal with the external environment and then you also want to not allow the external environment to control you, if you want to be better with relationships, if you want to be better with yourself, here's a guide or here's a playbook. I think she does do a good job there with that.
And it's,
you're right. It's nothing new. It's nothing groundbreaking, but she packages it and portrays it and puts the information in a way that I think is extremely helpful to the average person who's not gone through therapy or gone through all of those things that can actually take it and then run with it.
And it's, for me, it was, okay, so if it's something that's a toxic situation or could become a toxic situation, just allowing me to let it go and letting me continue to stay outside of it so that I'm not drawn into somebody else's toxicity, you know? So for me, that was kind of like a big thing, like you talked about social media earlier today. And it was just like, I had a situation at the doctor's a couple of days ago where I had to get my blood work done. And this person was just on the phone being absolutely horrible, saying horrible things to the person that was trying to help her. And she just kept saying, I need an American. Like, I'm not going to talk to you. I need an American. Well, the woman was clearly speaking English, and she kept repeating, I am American. And this other woman was just not having it. And like, just because there was a slight hinge of an accent.
Right.
And it was so rude. And like, I did step in and I did say, you know, can you please lower your voice? We can't hear, you know, nobody else could hear what was, nobody could hear their name being said from the nurses. And everybody was just staring at her, and there were children around her.
Is this a Papa Ron appointment or?
No, this was my own.
Oh, okay.
And so it was just like, I did step in and I said, if you need help, I will help you.
Why did you do that?
Because I couldn't let it sit. I couldn't let her continue to
being an insane person.
It was almost like it was very racist tone. And it was just like, okay, no, I will not let them continue to do that in public, in front of children, in front of people that the person she was insulting on the phone were sitting right next to her as well.
Sure, I understand.
And so you could see the devastation on these people's faces. And it was just like, nobody that worked there was going to say anything to her. So then when I stepped in and I said, I can help, like, she's explaining this. Do you have this number? And she said, yes. Okay, that's all she needed. And then
you move forward.
Perfect. Your prescription's being filled now.
Nice.
You can hang up the phone. You don't have to talk about it anymore. You don't have to scream at the top of your lungs. And then a black nurse came out to take her back to get her labs done, and she refused to go with her because she was black.
Okay, so you're just dealing with a racist person.
And I was just
I don't think there's a
absolutely
lot,
not. And then that woman
stop somebody from being racist.
No, but like that woman then said, you either come with me or you don't get your blood work done. And she finally like went back and forth a couple minutes. The woman was like, no, I'm not doing it. And
shout out to our black nurses. We love you.
And then she finally just shut her mouth and went back, and then she was gone. And I was just like,
it's insane.
For
behavior.
God's sakes. Yeah. Like, that's where the whole let them let me, like, I really did let her go on and on and on for like 15 minutes talking horribly and being rude on the phone. It sounds like, Mel, before I intervened.
Not every scenario Emily's okay with just letting them.
No, but like in the book, she talks about one like on the
You're
plane.
You're talking to a person who, if they feel like something wrong's been done, they feel like they need to step in. I'm 10 million times worse about that than you are. So.
Oh, absolutely. I could only imagine what you would have done if you were there with me.
I probably
like it would have.
Now that I've read this book, I'm probably going to be a lot better about just letting people be the people. But there is a difference. I will say there is a difference between letting somebody not control your behavior or prevent you from being who you are. And then there's people that are causing harm to others. I don't think she's really talking about that here.
No. And I don't know that this woman was
she's not
in the right state of mind to have like figured it out
fair,
either.
But I don't think Mel in the book is talking about if somebody's causing harm to somebody, you just let them. Like, that's not what this book's about. So
no.
To your point, I don't really know if that applies. But good for you, though, for trying just to let a crazy person be crazy and not try to make a situation worse. Because even if stepping in and trying to be protective of somebody, that is a noble thing. But sometimes that can just make it worse. And that business there actually should have been the one that didn't let them.
Absolutely. But
they should have asked them to leave.
They didn't.
It's not your responsibility. And that's how like these things get out of control, because the businesses themselves don't want to deal with it. And you need to fucking deal with it. When you have somebody in there that's causing harm to other people, I don't give a fuck if they have an appointment and they're paying. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. But what were other highlights for you?
I think the other things that I didn't love this book as much as you did, I think.
And it's not that I didn't love it. I just think it's really useful. I mean, the point is like, is this book useful? I think for the Do We Have To crew and the questions we've gotten and all the topics we've talked about, this book can help on that as far as help package kind of a response or how you deal with those things.
Yeah. I struggled with, I think
okay. So do you have any more highlights? Cause I'll hit like, if you don't have any more highlights, I'll hit my highlights and then you can talk about,
I don't have highlights. I have struggles. Okay. I have struggles.
You and this lady at the appointment are sharing a similar trait. And
I'm sorry. Someone is
It's 5 o'clock in the morning, or it's early in the morning.
salty.
I'm not salty. It's just, I asked you if
I don't have any more
You don't
highlights.
have
I'm sorry. Go with yours.
All right. So guys, I think there's a lot of things here that can be helpful. Okay. So specifically, I'm not going to go into all of them because I want you to be able to read the book. The whole point of us isn't to read the book back to you. Right. But here's what I will say. The let them let me obviously is huge. And that's the crux of the book. You learn how to do those things. You're on your way to, I think, a less controlled life, even though you feel like you're maybe in control by worrying about these things and reacting to prevent people from reacting. It's really controlling you, right? But then there's also the comparison issue, and everybody has it, especially now with social media. Comparison. Are you going to let it be a teacher, or are you going to let it be torture? And there's two different ways to look at it, and there's two different ways to approach it. I highly recommend the teacher. Use it as a way to enhance you, not as a way to make you feel less than, right? So definitely I would hit that in the book. When you hear about that or start reading into it, please perk up and pay attention. How to Love Difficult People. There's multiple times that we've had multiple questions from the Do We Have To crew about people not willing to change and those sorts of things. Well, the way we're approaching that, and sometimes even maybe some of the advice I've given based off our experience, if you're reading this book, it's going to be contradictory to that. And I would recommend listening to the book because I think it does follow more psychological, how the brain works, how neuroscience works. And I think you're going to get the best result.
Yeah.
Also, the do it for how it makes you feel. Like, don't do something because of how somebody's going to react to it. If you have 3 obligations and like it doesn't make sense to do all of them, but you want to do all of them, don't do all of them because grandma's going to be upset if you're not at the family dinner. Do it because it makes you feel good to know you're spending time, because time's a limited resource, which we talked about time just a couple episodes ago. Time's a limited resource. If it makes you feel good that you are able to make all these things work and you feel like an accomplished person because of it, then do it. Don't do it because somebody else is going to make you feel a certain way.
Right.
Right. And then frame of reference. That was fucking huge for me. I think a lot of people maybe read this and be like, that's not a big deal. But like how we hold, especially in this society, everybody thinks what's all the noises? Okay. Especially in society, everybody thinks like you make somebody, they're always want to talk about looking external, not letting them. That's society right now. And anytime somebody makes what that person perceives to be a mistake, they're done. They shouldn't be a human being anymore. They shouldn't have a job. All of these things, right? We have no one, like everybody has their own experience, their own path. And that does not give them a green light to treat people poorly or cause harm.
No.
But then there's also a lot of gray area where they're not directly trying to cause anybody harm, but they say something that doesn't fit with you, what you perceive to be your moral fucking compass or rule set, and you flip the fuck out on them, and you get on social media and become a fucking keyboard warrior, and you want them, destroyed as a human being. And I see people doing that with their own families, and whatever their political preferences, and whatever, how they feel about an international conflict that has nothing to do with us other than they're, allies, or we're involved diplomatically, but we as fucking average American citizens it doesn't have an effect on us. And we're making decisions on our long-term relationships because of that. And we could give a fuck less about the frame of reference, meaning what is this person's life experiences, how they've been treated, what they've gone through, how does that affect their opinion and their decision-making? It's that simple. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, frame of reference is huge. And if I think you start out with trying to understand the frame of reference, where it's coming from, you're going to have better family relationships. And you combine that with let them and let me, you're living a lot happier life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The ABC method as well. Like another big thing, and we've had multiple questions. One of our wonderful Do We Have To crew in Australia, one of our wonderful Aussies that wrote in, they were trying really hard to figure out how to guide their husband on his self-care. Like, he's not taking care of himself. He's out of weight or overweight and just not adhering to her concerns. Right. And I was kind of like, hey, that has to be important for him. And while I was right on that, like the book just gives you such better playbook to deal with the situation. And that ABC, which is, apologize, back off, and then celebrate, right? As far as like how you support helping somebody get to where you want them to go, they ultimately have to make the decision. So like if getting in shape and getting healthier is something that's important to them, then they're going to do it. They're not going to do it because you want them to.
No.
And how do you support or facilitate them getting to that? That's the tool. And that's huge. So if you have a spouse where you're, instead of going down that road of like just forcing them or pushing them and then eventually resenting them, use this method. It'll help. And I think it's definitely a way to avoid relationship issues to try to get what you're doing. And then after that though, there's the DE, which is this a deal? Like if that person, you give it, and I love it because she gives a time frame, give it 6 months, do this. And on top of it, you model the behavior. So if you're asking them to go work out, you're working out, and I know our Aussie crew member was doing that, which is great. Give that 6 months, do that process. If they don't do it, then you have to determine, is that a deal breaker? Right. And then, something has to end. Either you end being upset about it or something has to end.
Yeah.
Right. So those are my highlights. I highly recommend reading the book. I'll give it my score here, once we're done, but those are my highlights. And you go ahead as far as like, if there was something that left you wanting for the book, or if you'd like to know more or would want more information. You sound like you had a lot of things you wanted to shit on Mel about. I
don't want to shit on her. I struggled with chapters. I think it was like 16 through 17, or maybe it was even 15. I am a huge believer in tough love. I am. I think I display that here at home very often. However, I think there is a very fine line with tough love and health and physical and mental, emotional behaviors. It can be really hard to define, but I think as a mom, I have to approach it with an extreme amount of grace. And I think she kind of either skips over it or just blazes right on through with it. And I struggled a lot with the part with her child needing therapy, and the mental health. Really, and
unbelievable.
For me, I can't. It sounded a lot like it was conditional love.
I mean, I think this is a frame of reference thing. I think this is a very sensitive topic for you. And I think how she presented it in a very pragmatic way, I think you kind of looked at that like it was cold, but I think that's just her as a human. I'm not arguing or debating. How you feel is how you feel. And I completely validate it. I looked at it a different way. I feel like she did it differently, but I don't disagree with you. I can see I see from your frame of reference why that came off like, that's not how I would handle that.
And like in the let them like parenting appendix or whatever, it was very much let your kids be who they are and make their own choices and lead their own lives. And it's like, hard stop. I am their first teacher. Yeah. And I am their biggest influence. And
it's got to be some sort of safe boundary freedom. And that was going to be my only takeaway from it is, and I didn't know this until I talked to you this morning, because I didn't get to I didn't read the last 3 pages of the book, which was my fault, because she's going into thanking everybody. I stopped. She does talk about my one thing was like, how do you apply this to parenting? Like if I took away anything where I was wanting more, it was that. And she actually does have on her website, I don't know if it's melrobbins.com or if it's, is it?
It's the parenting,
a practical parenting application to the book.
Yeah. But for me,
you felt like it didn't give you quite what you were looking for. You felt like it was like, that's too much freedom. Like there's got to be some level of control. I'm sure it depends on the age too.
Well, I'm sure. And I probably took it as a very general overview. But I am their mom. So I am going to be the first person to teach them anything. And as a Christian mom, as a Christian woman, these children are, I felt like it was a big, okay.
Can you just give me 1 sec? Hey guys, mom, we're almost done. Everybody just go into the room, put something on TV. I probably sound like the worst parent right now, right? Go in the room, put something on TV. We're going to be done in 5 minutes. Let us finish the show. Please stop making noise and please stop arguing with each other. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So as their first teacher, I was given them as a gift from my God. And my job as a parent is to raise them in his likeness and to raise them to go back to him and return home to him. And I felt like if I'm not the one impeding that opinion strongly, then somebody else is going to bring in their influence and somebody else is going to take that role. And I can't allow that to happen. So I can't let them make choices that could impact their livelihood, their salvation, their moral high ground. And maybe she was just totally like
she did
not
say,
even
though,
thinking
that
all of that. But for me, it was just very important for me to be like, absolutely not. I am going to be the one to influence them in their choices. I'm going to be the one to set their moral high grounds. I'm the one that's going to be setting them in the right path.
Well,
towards whatever.
You can guide them, but ultimately you have to let them make their decisions, make their mistakes, and then be there to support them in a healthy way.
I just don't think it should be left to trial and error.
Well, but here's the thing, and I think she showed this with actual scientific study. The more you try to control and wrap your hands around something, the more people are going to resist. And so really what she's trying to do is bring help to how are you able to give as much influence onto controlling the environment without actually trying to control it, which then invokes that type of psychological response. Because like if you tell the kids, when you're an adult, you have to go to fucking church. You know what they're going to do? What did you do? What'd you do when you got out of school? Did you listen to your parents and go to church every week?
No.
So there you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get where you're coming from, and I do want to have control over everything. But like the book, the one thing that's helpful about the book is it gives scientific backing of why that doesn't work when we have to control.
Right. And I think that was part of it. It was like the... almost like the force of saying you can't control it, you have to let it go. Like you can't be in control
in a healthy
of it.
way, but you
like,
control.
Panicked me.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's why there's let me behind it, because then you do right. So if those things are important for you, you let them, but you're going to let me, and I'm going to model why this is important. I'm going to provide information on this in a healthy way, and I'm not going to try to control you. I'm going to let you make your decisions, but you're going to see a positive influence from me, which then is going to gravitate or magnetically bring them back to whatever you're associating it with. If that happens to be church, that's great. You know, I want them to be the best human beings they can be. So a lot of what I'm associating with, like, if the
and
worst
for me,
thing
that goes back to church.
Well, I agree. But if the worst thing we're dealing with when we're older is the kids don't go to mass regularly enough, but they're good human beings, I'm okay with that. I know from a framework for you that's going to be a sore point, but like, I'm not saying I don't want them to have that. I just want them to be the best. So like, to me, there's like 10 other things that like I could be thinking of about with school, how they treat other people, how they're going to treat their partner, how they treat themselves when they make mistakes, those sorts of things. You can relate that back to church and being a Christian, because, you know, even though most Christians don't actually do those things, you know, I'm very hard on our own people. You know I am. That's who I am.
It's too early for that.
Well, you brought church in the conversation.
I know.
So you threw it in there. But I'm just saying, like, this is more about being the most well-rounded person. And you can associate being Christian with that. But like, just in general, like, no matter what, even if it's Christianity, like, the more we try to control these things, the more divergent or diversive that it is, the more difficult it is to bring that person into it.
Yeah.
So use these tools.
And I think the other thing that really not bothered me, but like was somewhat concerning, is that she just kind of grazes over one of like the biggest things in the world right now is the lack of communication. And I feel like the let them gives people an excuse to not have hard conversations and to not communicate needs well. And I think most people are going to see let them and kind of give it their own path to just completely avoid, completely disengage, like whatever word it is that I'm trying to find.
Well, I think she brings that up, though. It's not hey, it's okay that they just do this. If it's causing harm or something, then you have to make that decision as a part of let me. You have to make that What is that noise?
They're playing chess.
Is that what they're doing?
They're playing chess.
Okay. Can't. They're playing chess at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's
I didn't even put my watch on.
But the biggest thing about let me is then you make a decision that then you have to move away from that relationship, you know, and that's
right.
That's
but like you should also be able to have the conversation as to why you need to move away from it. But you're not going to be able to control.
Fine. You can do that, I'm sure. But like, again, how they're going to respond and everything is not within your control. And then you're going to be back in that cycle again. You have to separate yourself away. I get what you're doing, but like what you're doing is what she's trying to prevent prevent you from doing.
Like, we are going to have to let them play chess, but then
I am doing
we
it.
are going to
And what happens when
let me go up there.
every time I've said, "Can you please be quiet?" Has it helped, or are they getting louder?
They're getting louder.
So again, I'm giving you a hard time, but I'm not purposely giving you a hard time. But I'm giving you this thing, but I'm not even practicing my own medicine here. I should just let them do it, and you know. So, but what did you? And guys, I think we both got a lot out of this. So even though this wasn't Emily's favorite book, and it's not my favorite book, but like it's a good book. It's very useful
to be.
But it's very useful, and so. Highly recommend if you do have the opportunity, like if this is something that's important to you, if you feel like you're not in control of things or like you feel like you're letting go of control or you're just unhappy, like a lot of this is probably how you're psychologically interacting with your external environment. This can help. Okay. Yeah. I think this can really help a lot of people. I get nothing out of this. We picked the Book of the Month Club, book, whatever. We picked this. You did a great job. I think this is a very helpful book. Like we get nothing out of it. It just other than helping people. But with that being said, what would you give your score for it?
Well, so we do an alarm clock score, meaning how many alarm clocks are you willing to?
Is this something you're going to put a lot of time in that you potentially lose 8 hours of sleep? But like 8 alarm clocks.
How much sleep are you willing to give up? And how many times are you going to hit snooze on your alarm because you've stayed up too late reading? My original score for this book was 4.
Okay. That's low. Sorry, Mel.
After having our conversation, because we haven't talked about this
I'm glad we didn't, because I'm glad we were able to kind of like talk through some of these things because we had both different frames of references reading it.
We really did. And I think I brought too much of my own insecurities and my own needs of things to control into the book. After talking through it with you, I think I want to raise it to maybe a 5.5, 6.
Love it.
Just because being able to bounce things off of somebody, I was able to
process through it, talk through it. Yeah.
Yeah. And realize that I didn't have to panic so much about giving up control on certain things, that if I approached it in a different way, if I let me.
Well, instead of trying to control what they're doing, you model the behavior and then you let them, and then psychologically, they're going to be much more in tune to potentially come back to or associate themselves with the behavior you're wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I give it a 7. Like you don't have to stay up all night reading this, but this is a book you want to get into and you want to review it. You may want to read it multiple times. You're going to want to take notes while you're going through it. Like, how do you apply this thing? So it's not like it's so easy to say like our scoring system, like, hey, is it a good mystery book? Or are you going to stay up all night with it? But I give this a 7. Like, this is an important book. This could really help.
Yeah. And I think there are bits and pieces of it that I do think I need to go back and reread after hearing you talk about things, because I clearly either took it too general or I took it too literal, and I need to be able to reframe it.
And I think a person of her personality would have destroyed me like 5 years ago. Like if I worked with them or whatever, like that pragmatic, like take the emotion out of it kind of thing. But like, honestly, that's what we need in this world. We need to stop putting so much of our emotion and feelings and like us being victims into everything that we do and how we make decisions. And it needs to be more pragmatic. It needs to bring less emotion, put more logic into it, and more, she put scientific backing into it, and then make informed decisions on that.
There is also a poem, and I'll post it online. But there's a poem that this whole theory started with, and the author is Cassie something. I cannot remember her last name at the moment. And I'll post the poem because I think the poem resonated with me so much more than the book. But I am also very much, I love poetry and I love diving into all of that. I think that's important to know also, is that this book had a lot of controversy leading up to it and within it, and nothing that she has ever done, even with like the high five method or the
what's a controversy? What are we talking about? What are you talking about? Controversy.
There was a lot of controversy with this book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because of where her research came from, where her theory came from, who actually started the theory. Is it all of that. So like there's a lot of stuff, like you could go down a whole rabbit hole.
Anybody could say. So she packaged it, I don't know.
But she used everybody else's stuff to package it into her own life experience. Anyways, I'll link all of the stuff like in all the other authors that she talks about within her book,
Yeah.
I want to go back and I want to read what they've said.
Sure.
Because they've clearly influenced her and stuff. And so, but I just think that's important to know is that there's more than just her take on it.
Yeah.
There's other people's take. And so I think if you don't like the way she's presenting the information, get it from somebody else because it is good information.
Agreed. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
And that's going to wrap it up for our Do We Have to book club. Now, the cool thing is, guys, a couple things coming this way. Our next book club episode, which will happen in a month, right? So we're going to be into the end of April at that time. We're going to do a Do We Have to watch this? And we're going to have to do, obviously, our Do We Have to book club. We're going to be putting posts out for you guys to vote on what we have to do. We have to watch this. Some based off comments, some just, I try to fit in something that Emily might like to watch. But things that, we'll just give kind of an overview or our thoughts on what we watch. That's out there now on Instagram and YouTube, and we'll follow up. I'll put it on X as well, a poll. So please go out there and vote on it. Find us. What are our socials, Em? Do you mind going over those real quick?
First, let me just say, I want you guys to help us decide what to read next time.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Go ahead. Yeah.
And so you can vote with the hashtag Do We Have to Book Club on all of our socials.
Well, we'll put a poll out there for everybody to do. So you just click on the option.
Oh, okay. So I don't need to give the names of the books.
Well, you can give the names of the books that we're going to go over. Go for it. But I'm just saying it'll be on a poll so somebody can click on it as opposed to having to remember what was said on the show and then put it in a hashtag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The first option. Sorry. The first option is If You Tell by Greg Olson. It's a true story. It's a murder thriller. Okay. It's about families.
Thought you were talking about the tight end for the Carolina Panthers. Sorry.
More specifically, a relationship between sisters.
Yeah.
The next book option is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. It is a mystery. It's crime, but it's told by various viewpoints. And it's an intertwined timeline. So it's all over the place. And then the last option that I've given is called The Invisible Life of Addie. Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. It's a fantasy book or fantasy genre, more about immortality. There's a plot twist. There's a legacy that's involved somehow. I am not really a fantasy reader, but I've heard a lot of really good things about this book. So yeah, help us decide. Hashtag Do We Have to Book Club. Vote on your topic for what you want to read with me. And
I think, to your point,
since
you brought up the books, the Do We Have to Watch This is the movie Commando starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Companion starring Jack Quaid and Margaret, I can't remember the last name, I'm so sorry, but a recent movie that just came out, Emily in Paris Season 4, which is the newest season out, and then Stranger Things Season 1. Yeah. And over half of those were actually comments that people had mentioned.
And the only one that I'm interested in
is Emily in Paris.
Emily in Paris.
Yep. Which is the only one that somebody didn't comment on. I was doing that purely for you.
Sad day. Okay. And then, so you can find us on social media. You can follow, and subscribe at dowehavето.com. You can submit your questions, comments, all of that on our website. You can also still send us some hashtag Sour Patch Kid moments on social media with YouTube at Do We Have to Marriage Podcast.
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook, Threads is at do.we.have.to. X is at Do We Have to Pod. TikTok is at Do We Have to a Marriage Pod. And you can also follow us and find us on Peloton. We are in no way, shape, or form sponsored by Peloton. We just own a bike and we like it.
And we want to live longer, so we're exercising. And you guys being a part of the Do We Have to Crew team and working out, like Michaela Brown, our last week's winner and the week before that. Guys, you can keep joining everybody in the Peloton community.
Brian, her last name's Brian.
Michaela Bryan. We got to take her down. No offense, Michaela. I really appreciate you being part of the team, but you can't win every week. And if we do, so everybody, I tell you, come out of the woodworks. Our folks are excited. Michaela is destroying. Although I think I did just take the lead. We have a new challenge out now as of this week, which is the amount of time. I'm barely in front of her. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that pace up.
Not even started.
I had to work out like 4 times yesterday to get in front of her. So
Minnie
everybody come on and take Michaela.
Begging to get out. So you can follow Sean on Peloton at Do We Have to Pod KC, or you can follow me at Emily_in_KC. You can join our crew at # Do We Have to Crew. You can join our challenges. Poor Minnie, she just wants to get out.
We're never doing a 5 a.m. fucking spring break episode.
This is miserable.
Again. Do We Have to Crew? We appreciate you guys getting through this, but just remember, hey, just like anything else, right? We're all just trying to get through it, right? We appreciate you guys listening through. Apologies for the interruptions. Don't know how it'll sound.
I'm so sorry.
Uncle Colin, aka Schmedium, our executive producer, wonderful man. Hopefully, we'll eliminate some of this background noise. But thank you so much for hanging in with us through the constant interruptions. Wish us the best of luck into our Kansas City Royals, our opening day, and then also to our children who are on spring break.
And
all
of you on spring break.
That is on spring break right now.
May your coffee be stronger than your children.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great day. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind. Don't be an asshole. I love you, Rosebud.
Wake up, I'm about to shake up every little thing. Show you all that we can be. Come dance in my club.